Ooh, chat, your boy is ticked right now. Somebody in IT is going to get fired. I don't know who just cut the feed, but whoo, we just lost the last live stream. So welcome into the people who are going to join us for the second half here. Don't worry, Rockets Warriors still in the background. They didn't quite cut the TV feeds, but there's going to be nobody left to do that here because we got to get a break. We got to reset the background and stuff here real quick. Some of the computer stuff that we just lost. We had a computer free situation. So we're going to go to break. We're going to fire everybody in the booth. We've got to, I guess, go to the street, hire new people, and then we got to try to be back for the second half. But yikes, people. That is upsetting. So welcome back. Second half, Rockets Warriors underway right after this. Okay, chat, we're back. I know we shouldn't be this upset. It's not that big of a deal. You know, we just fire up a new live stream and keep going. Technology is amazing, but we're a perfectionist, chat. It is what it is. We like things to run smoothly, and we were about to just go full Meryl Streep, Devil Wears Prada, everybody goes, chat, but we've decided that, you know, times are tough. We don't want to start necessarily having to let people, you know, it just, there's families and food. How is IT going to put food on the table? I guess nobody in IT's got a family. Who we talking about, chat? Bunch of losers in IT. You can tell from the way they do their job. So we can, and I guess not that you're a loser if you don't have a family that you started, chat. Just IT specifically right now, losers. But decided, you know, they can keep their jobs, but just they can have the rest of the night off, chat. So nobody's in the booth. It's just me hanging out right now alone. The REMINGTOM pod going solo for the second half of Rockets versus Warriors, chat. But yikes, we'll see. I guess staff meeting Monday, chat. Yikes, back in the office early. That'll be the test. That's what we do here on the REMINGTOM pod. We'll figure out who's at fault while we'll go back and check the cameras, and then we call everybody in for the staff meeting the next morning. But instead of addressing the stuff in the staff meeting, we just do Jamal Adam keycard style and just we just have everybody pull up into the mornings, so everybody gets there around the same time, and then you find out who the guy that his key card doesn't work. One at a time, swipe your key cards, figure out who doesn't work. I saw there's these videos of this professor that we get in our algorithm every time, and he'll do like these dramatic things in his class to like reveal the grades and stuff, like or the first couple of clips we saw from him was he would wake up his students in dramatic ways. Oh, what's this, a Jackie Chan show? Jackie Chan's back, chat? Whoa! They've been doing a rush hour marathon on BET, and it's been difficult to stay locked in on these playoff games. But yeah, either way, what were you just ranting about, chat? Oh, geez. I just lost my train of thought. But Jackie Chan. Anytime Jackie Chan goes on screen, just all focus directed toward any Jackie Chan vehicles that are being promoted and or, you know, being reminded of us to rewatch, chat. But yeah, and like we were saying, I guess, did I mention that we mentioned that we had the UFC card on in the background for me the other night, but I only saw bits and pieces of the fight, so I guess we're only seeing bits and pieces of it now as we watch it too. But as we get into some of these co-headlining events, there were some big fights here in the home state. There was Misha Tate was fighting, Bo Nickel was fighting, and then is it Sandhagen? Is that how you say the last name? Versus Figueredo? That's close enough, you know, with all due respect for that is. I mean, you guys know who I'm talking about, I guess, is the point for it being close enough. Close enough for you guys to know who I'm trying to say, if I'm not getting the pronunciation right for the last names. But I didn't see the results as well, too, for those later fights. So I guess we'll get a look here at what is happening for some of those later rounds for these UFC matchups. But taking the fight nights on the road is kind of fun as well, too. And, I mean, just taking the UFC on... I mean, they need a tour, chat. They need a tour. I know that there's obviously fight commission regulations that have happened. So shout out to the Iowa Fighting Commission, you know, letting the UFC, getting the events totally straight. But, I mean, as the UFC becomes more popular as well, too, as it becomes like a real, like, oh, yeah, this is a marketing... This is a real economy thing when it enters into the city. And, I mean, shout out to the Iowa crowd as well, too, for... selling out the arena. So I mean, it's a big thing. It's like, it goes into the plains, chat. It's just in the old Midwest over here. Nobody goes into the Midwest. It's just the UFC and Kendrick out here selling tickets in these venues. But I do think that would help, as some of obviously the touring around because like we're saying, even the fight nights obviously can be contained a lot of times to that Apex Center, which is great. And I know some of the UFC people have talked about that is obviously a great environment for watching, or for having the UFC events, but in a way that it's just like the most, not basic version of a UFC, but just that most stripped down version of a UFC fight, like in a gym, guys wrestling it out, like trainers in the sideline and all that. There's a couple of fans, really bare bones type stuff. But for the popularity of it, I mean, for the economy, like we're saying, of it as well too, getting that extra gate from all these, having, I guess, again, if you could just do fight night at T-Mobile Arena every time, like, you're still going to do a pretty good gate. But the ability to draw in interest from all these other fan bases. And now, again, you're seeing it's not necessarily a pay-per-view television event that was doing those arena level numbers. Like, it's a legit arena down there in Des Moines. There's tournament games and stuff. Like, it's still a good ticket number, I think, that they're having to move, in that NBA-ish level range for tickets at the gate. And again, doing it in that's not necessarily like a major city, like maybe even like the Big Three necessarily. I guess has the Big Three even done like an event in Des Moines, and that's still like obviously an event that is viable when it goes to some of these major markets, but still hasn't quite crossed over into like the secondary level type cities yet. But it's like, okay, the UFC can take a non championship pay-per-view level fight that is on just like a normal fight night type level fight, and it can take it on the road and still do the arena level stuff. It's like, yeah, I mean, obviously the UFC just continues to grow as a fighting promotion and as the premier fighting league just in existence. But yeah, just another, of course, check mark for it. I mean, it's like the WNBA. It's like, wait a second, so now the preseason games are selling out these NBA arenas too. It's like, yeah, there's definitely some stuff that is happening and some movement that has taken place. But the Rockets, chat, they won't go away, hanging around. Sven Goon, a couple of buckets here, 41-54 on the Sling. So we've got 43-54 on the ESPN right now. There's a Rockets bucket. Are we gonna get a transition Rockets bucket here? Draymond, another missed corner three. So Draymond from the corner, chat, he's been good tonight, but the corners have not been his spot. So yes, it is a little semi-transition, and it's Amen Thompson. So yes, Amen Thompson continue to attack, because even Svengun, like, obviously if Svengun can get looks around the basket, you're going to take it, but a lot of times he's going to have Draymond matched up on him one-on-one. So you could try to maybe help Svengun out with, like, do you try to run a pick and roll with Svengun as the ball handler and just have him turn into a post-up at that point? But Amen Thompson can actually get the mismatches and, going downhill from the, attacking downhill, getting to the basket, not necessarily facing a shot blocker that Golden State wouldn't have. So yeah, the next UFC 315, the next like UFC event is Muhammad versus Della Maddalena? Jack Della Maddalena? Did I say that name right, chat? But he's been a rising star as well a little bit in the UFC as well too. So I guess we'll actually know his name after the fight either way, because I guess we'll be locked in to that UFC event for sure, chat. I guess they don't have the rest of the card displayed, but I'm sure it's great. And did we mention as well too, yeah, Bo Nickel was fighting. So you got Bo Nickel, the two guys in the main event, and then like we were saying, Miesha Tate as well too. Just a lot of star power in that UFC card. But oh yeah, chat, we were ranting about firing IT earlier and letting him just get off work. I'm trying to remember what that rant was that we lost, but I guess it's just not important, chat. It's not meant to be. It is what it is. IT from the beyond is like, move on. They're still in our, still with us in spirit, I guess, chat. They'll never go away. It is what it is. See, chat, I guess we're just too fond of them. The relationships, it's too deep at this point. Hey, yo, pause. But now, chat, we're ruthless bosses. We got to, it's, Sam Presti, Howie Roseman. It's like, hey, if IT is not hitting their corner threes the way they need to, we got to trade them, chat. They got to get out of here. But But Svengoon missing the and one opportunity. Oh, the caption, the closed captioning, Shingoon. I don't know if that's gonna get us canceled, chat, but that's just what it said on the closed captioning. That's all I'm saying. Down now 12. Get this to 11. Get this to, they can't quite get it in that single digit mark anymore, chat. Again, the Warriors just keeping them at that arm's length reach. And for much as we were trying to, give Jalen Green the benefit of the doubt as well too, like, and maybe like we were saying, is he a takeover type guy at this point in his career? But there is some off-ball stuff that maybe you'd want from him as well too. I don't know if he's had necessarily primary defender level stuff matched up on him throughout the course of the game. So, you'd hope to see a little bit more from him in the second half. Tough defense by Van Fleet on Butler. Gets the steal. Amen Thompson now with the head of steam, chat. Svengoon. So now Svengoon attacks. The good pass. Spinning pass to Amen Thompson. A little Amen Thompson Svengoon two-man game in transition. The spacing around the basket actually works a little bit. And Draymond, I mean, like, that's a rare time where you're like, oh, Svengoon might have a little space to operate on a drive, but Draymond slid over in good position. Svengoon just can't get away from Draymond, chat. Can we call him the Goon? Is that a nickname that would work? I don't know, chat. We might, maybe not in 2025, but maybe not ever. But I think there's all, there's terms, chat, but I think there's also maybe an innocent way that term can get thrown around. But I guess, at the end of the day, a term's a term. Alprin, did we not spell it right? Is it gonna get us with the special characters? As it should, chat. His name's his name. But his only nickname on basketballreference.com right now is Alpy. So, Alf, Kim, is that appropriate? Again, we don't want to start, now being offensive with the nicknames, but Alf is a cool character, chat. I don't think we're saying that he looks like Alf. We're just saying that as a nickname. Oh, chat, you don't even get an image when you Google Alf. That's tough. Poor Alf. Is Alf a guy that has made it into the mainstream in 2025? Has he carried over, chat? Do you guys still know about Alf? I never really watched this show. I mean, we watched mostly old TV. I'm not going to say that, we had a pretty good rotation of TV and movie stuff. I think our parents were, maybe a little more on the careful side with the stuff that they were showing us, chat. And, also just, they were not like, I mean, again, we were able to watch all the games and stuff because fortunately, a lot of the games you can access those just over the national airwaves. But some of the cable packages we didn't really have as well too. So not that Alf reruns would have been on cable. There's, of course, that old classics channel I think did have some Alf reruns going there for a second, but never really caught our attention, chat. We were like, yeah, not the show that we're going to get. I mean, some of the old shows are great, chat. Andy Griffith, I Love Lucy, I mean, we were singing the praises of Honeymooners a while back. So at least the praise of Jackie Gleason anyways. Edward Norton, the performances of the characters on that show. What's the Michael Keaton one? Is Michael Keaton's not All in the Family. Family Ties is Michael Keaton. That old Archie Bunker is All in the Family. I don't remember the actor name, but he did that show, and he also did the Heat of the Night television show as well too, which I remember I watched that show for a while as a kid because the first episode I ever saw of that show, I forget what it was called, chat. I don't even know how many seasons there were of it, but I know that I would know the name of it if I saw it. I don't think there was that many seasons. I don't think it got canceled like early. I just think, it was a heavy show, chat. Maybe it's like, you can it addressed a lot in the run that it had. That's for sure. But maybe it had a good run. I don't remember. 8 seasons? Okay, yeah. So it did have a good run. 147 episodes plus 4 TV movies as well. But can we get an episode list? Let me see. Maybe it's list of episodes. Here we go, chat. I'm pretty sure I would remember the title. I definitely remember the general plot of the episode. Maybe I don't, chat. Let me see here. one of these rings a bell. These things in time. Intruders. Walk out accused. There was like a kid with a painting situation. I want to see if I can find the summary before I try to describe it. Maybe it was it a later season one? I forget. Again, the reruns were just on the classic. I guess there was a couple of classic TV channels, because this one, I guess I don't remember the full slate exactly, but I remember there was whichever channel sort of arrangement it was, you could jump from there was like the Monday morning run of In the Heat of the Night into Walker, Texas Ranger. So make no mistake, chat, that was the childhood for a second. Chuck Norris, come on. But maybe I don't, chat. Am I going to have to go to AI and be like, which In the Heat of the Night episode am I thinking of? I know my brother would remember it. Do we have to phone a friend, chat? He has a crazy memory for all this stuff. I'd be like, what's that episode title called? I guess oh, chat, once again, closing out of everything. But do we even have the camera going on in the background? Chat, maybe we actually need IT in for this one. Who knows? Okay. I guess I was going to say, IT, get on the phones and call yourself back in, but we would send him home, so I don't think that works. That's like a classic, is that an all-time boss statement, chat? Get on the phones and call yourself back into work. That's some diabolical stuff right there. But yeah, for some reason, I guess maybe I'm just scrolling too fast, chat. But basically the premise of the episode was this kid like witnesses the murder in the closet. I don't remember if the guy knew that the kid was there or not. Maybe afterwards he knows that, he's like, oh, the kid was there, and like he knows that it was there. It's just like whether or not the kid will say something. But the kid goes, like, you know, he's traumatized, so he goes mute over the course of the episode, and he's trying to like reveal the stuff in the pictures. But in this one, you don't know who the murderer is. I don't think that's necessarily the case for all of them. You know, it's not necessarily like all a mystery. You know, it's more just like a drama cop show. But this episode was such a good mystery that it was like the first episode that we watched the show, and it's like, well, is this what the show is? And then it's like, oh no, maybe the show's a little bit deeper than that. But it was a great show as well too. I forget what the name of the one, is it Tibbs, the one detective, and what's his character name is, or his actor name as well too. I guess we can look it up here, chat. But let me go once more through the early seasons. The Family Secret, Hammer and the Glove, Hot Nights, hey yo, Stranger in Town, These Things Take Time, Lady, The Pig Woman of Sparta. Hey yo, chat. I'm not saying every episode in here aged well. I'm just saying some of the ones that we saw were captivating stories. The Time of Stranger, King's Ransom, Triangle, December Days, Loss of Innocence. I don't know, chat. I'm gonna have to sit down and look, figure it out, because I would like to go back and rewatch that episode, I guess, and see if it was as good. In the Heat of the Night, it's got to be on Tubi, chat, or Pluto. There's no way it's not on the 80s, 90s reruns classics of Pluto. Or maybe I looked it up on IMDb with like some pictures. It would help. But yeah, this guy right here, chat. Okay, Carol O'Connor is the Archie Bunker character in that other show. So is Howard Rollins the guy that I'm thinking of? Yeah, chat. Shout out to Howard Rollins. He was good in this show as well too. Some of the side characters, this guy was kind of fun as well. I feel like he got a lot of screen time. But what is this, chat, like some Charlie Sheen lookalike character over here? But yeah, I mean, again, I was watching this show as a kid, so I don't know if Virgil Tibbs is the guy that we're thinking of. Yeah. And chat, his wife was hot as well too in this show. Was it this Anna Marie Johnson character? I guess no picture on the Wikipedia. Oh yeah, chat. Maybe it was her. Yeah, she's pretty hot in this show, for sure. So, you know, who knows if there's other reasons that we were curious for. Oh, theme music by Quincy Jones. I mean, chat. I'm not saying we always had perfect taste as a kid, but it seemed like at least there were some checkpoints that this show is hitting. But either way, should we checkpoints for Rockets Warriors? Checkpoint at 7.5 minutes on the Sling stream. Warriors up by 7. Uh-oh, Svengoon. The interior passing with him and Amen Thompson has been at... Oh! Dylan Brooks, he dropped Steph on the crossover, but offensive foul. Too much contact. No handle for Brooks, chat. Yeah, lowers the shoulder. Not necessarily a wizard, chat, when it comes to the dribble, that's for sure. Ayo. But I don't think we would make the list as Kyrie and then Dylan Brooks. But he tried. He was going for it there. He thought he had himself a highlight. He's like, oh, Steph's on the ground. I got him. Oh, Draymond just throws the pass to nobody. I think he thought Steph was maybe going to the corner. So, it got batted out of bounds as well, too. But it looked like that was going nowhere. That had the potential to be a crazy, crazy pass. But I guess we meant to address the Clippers season as well, too, since we were talking about that series as well. And, I mean, Chad, again, maybe not the most trustworthy place when it comes to Clippers takes, because at the end of the day, in the Spurs legacy thing side of things, like, we don't need Kawhi making more of these deeper playoff runs, not in San Antonio and outside of the trade and all that stuff. So, again, Jokic for that legacy, it's more, let's focus on the Jokic side of things. But for the Kawhi, I'm not, never happy with a team getting bounced from the playoffs. But again, we were definitely more in favor of the Jokic-Murray tandem than maybe we were the Kawhi and Harden tandem. But, on one hand, this is like a real takeaway of like, oh man, this is, one of like the all-time no-show type games, especially in that second quarter and just the way they fell apart. And just the way the Clippers have, again, always sort of dangled the carrot of hope as well, too, in front of the Clippers fans, which is this whole Kawhi and George, and then, Kawhi and Harden tandem, the Ty Lue run as well. And again, some of the individual pieces, like I still think Kawhi as a championship playoff guy, like I think there's clearly still a role for him. Ty Lue, Van Gundy as a coaching staff is, I mean, we think still one of the best coaching staffs in the league. And this time it's Amen Thompson to Svengoon with the interior passing, chat. So the Rockets working their way back here. But this is the type of game that I almost think it's better for the future of the Clippers that they had this Game 7 like this than if it was a close Game 7. Because, again, if it's a close Game 7, then it's just more hope. Do the Clippers fans need more hope at this point? Or do they need, like, a closed door? So, 14-4 run, timeout Warriors, 58-53 as we hit the timeout here with 5.5-ish minutes left in the third. And again, you have Kawhi, you have Harden, you go, okay, if we can just get Kawhi into the playoffs healthy, like you still have, I think, Norm Powell there under contract for one more year. And maybe there is a scenario where they just, again, this team is a competitive team. You still go, screw it. Let's just run this team back again one more time, But that is really the type of Game 7 where you go, okay, or just the type of playoff performance in general where it's like, it's not really even the something has to change. Because like we're saying, again, I guess we still had our questions about Kawhi and Harden with playoff upside, but the regular season stuff is still there. And you're still going to be a feisty team to play in the playoffs if this is the lineup that you throw back out there again next season. But again, really what this type of performance does is kind of take away that carrot of hope, and you just go, okay, now we can almost make moves, and not that they couldn't make moves before, but there's like a perception of the way they can make the moves now that they're just free to do anything. The Clippers are honestly free to do anything at this point, and it does not matter. We know that this version of the team with these core guys can probably not make a run in the playoffs. It just has, unfortunately, not shown out to happen, chat, in this run. And again, I still like some of the pieces. Like, I think that I would probably want to keep Ty Lue around as a head coach, chat. Like, you're going to find a better basketball head coach than Ty Lue. I mean, maybe there's some young prospect that they have their eye on. And, is it like, oh, now we're promoting Van Gundy into the head coach role? Like, if you could keep Van Gundy as a lead assistant, Ty Lue as the head coach, like I still would like that as the building blocks for the team. But again, some of the roster player stuff is going to be curious with what they end up doing. Because again, I'm not saying that this is a team that needs to make drastic changes. Like, hey, I like this Clippers team like this, Chad. Let's keep it like this. Kawhi with this supporting cast, it's absolutely perfect. You know, no threat to the Spurs in the future, but it's like, okay, now we have the ability to, and not even the Kawhi Harden parts, but maybe now it's like, okay, do we start looking Norm Powell for some assets in the future? You know, Zubats, Bogdanovich, like just anything is on the table at this point with the Clippers. And, you know, Zubats might be like a sneaky piece at this point, but Jones could be a sneaky piece, like maybe you keep him around. Like, is he the most valuable guy? But Derrick Jones Jr. as well, like we've seen him be a valuable piece to a team that makes a title run. Bogdanovich, I still think has good, you know, bench flexibility as well too, chat. And, you know, Chris Dunn even showed to have some valuable defensive moments. Batum has a 1-year player option or 1-year deal still if he opts into that player option in the offseason. So again, it's really anything's on the they can start submarining parts and selling things off and say, hey, thinking for the future, not necessarily like we have to put the title team. If they want to keep Kawhi just as a piece and see what happens, like that's totally fine as well too. But I don't think they're pressured, obviously, in the same way. Oh, Bo Nickel goes down, chat. Did Bo Nickel lose? Oh! Whoa! DeRider, chat? Is that his name, DeRitter? Bo Nickel with a knee to the head? I wasn't paying attention to the whole fight. I just looked over and I was like, wait, we're at the Bo Nickel fight now. Wow, I did not see that live. Wow, chat. Shout out to DeRitter, who was the ranked opponent. I was going to say I was a little surprised that Bo Nickel hadn't had the ranked match at this point. So this was his opportunity to climb into the rankings. Maybe then after that, of course, face, I don't know if he's, you know, he's at least 2 fights away from the belt, but maybe 3, you know, a mid-tier challenger and then a high challenger, or he just goes straight to a high challenger because, you know, he's that Bo Nickel superstar. But, and we're not saying that disrespectfully. It's just like, you know, his name is a hot name. Maybe he gets a little bit of a fast track into that lane. You know, I think we saw, was it Lopez get a little bit of a quick fight against Volkanovski, and it's like, hey, you know, throw him out there and see what happens. But yeah, crazy stuff, chat. I guess we'll just have to go back and rewatch that one again and see what actually happened. And, you know, I guess getting beat in the stand-up game as well too. Like, obviously Nickel's a wrestler, so if somebody's able to keep him upright, then maybe there is an advantage there. But I feel like we've also seen him have good wins in that way as well too, which is why he's been, you know, such a feared young fighter on the rise. But, you know, it's why the UFC is an amazing sport the way it is, chat. You know, the unpredictability factor is always there. Just when you think a guy is getting hot, just when you think a champion has everything on lock, then somebody emerges, somebody else gets the win. But, yeah, and I know Clippers fans are not going to want to be like, yeah, you know, we really wanted to lose a game by, you know, 30 points for most of the second, you know, middle portion of the game. We wanted to just be totally out of the game. But again, I think the mindset of, yeah, we're ready. The closure of this team is finally done. Because again, there was even some sneaky final hopes for this team. Kawhi was playing awesome. If you get the consistent Harden performances with the role guys that they have and the experience as well too of the team, you never know what kind of run they're able to put together. And again, Jokic, maybe he is just that formidable of an opponent that you can't write off that even if the Clippers play well, that Jokic is able to get a win in Game 7. But from the team building aspect of it, I kind of like that this happened. And again, just to kind of do the simple stuff with Kawhi, not to figure out, or, you know, the Clippers, I guess, not to try to dig too deep into the weeds. Some of the initial stuff that I was thinking, like, hey, could we keep an eye on this for the potential offseason? John Anik doing a shoey? Was that out of a Jordan? It's kind of a high-quality shoey there, Chad. I don't know if you want to waste the good shoes on the shoeys, but maybe that was a dunker. I'd have to go back and, again, check the replay. But the first trade, as I was scrolling through the trade machine, that jumped off the page was what if there was a Kawhi for Jaylen Brown type of deal on the table? Again, that gets really risky if you're the Celtics, risking Brown's consistency for Kawhi, but Tatum's consistency, maybe there's another move in there with Holiday as well too to help out the supporting cast, and you just think the high levels, you think with what Derek White and Peyton Pritchard and some of these other guys are able to get you in the regular season, then the high level playoff stuff of Kawhi and Tatum. I'm not saying I would do that if I'm the Celtics. I don't think I would. I would obviously try to just maybe keep that Brown and Tatum combo together. Seems like it works pretty well. But I was like, okay, that's the first trade that you're like, okay, 1-for-1. Is there a conversation to at least be had there? Where you're like, oh, Kawhi's on the table for JB? Am I looking at the assistant GM? I don't know if, again, maybe it's not a conversation, but maybe it's like a look where it's like, are we thinking about this? No, we're not? Okay, yeah. No, we're not thinking about it. We'll say no. No Kawhi for Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's awesome. But it's like, hey, maybe there's a whiff of something there. And more so as well, too, because the Celtics... And timeout, Rockets down by 3. But more so because the Celtics as well had said that they were thinking of making moves after this offseason. And again, maybe that's Brown, or maybe that's Holiday. Maybe that's, Porzingis. I don't know. Maybe it's one of the other role guys on the team, Derek White. He does seem still like a good value with his deal, chat. Hauser. Do you mix up the Hauser spot a little bit? But, who knows how high level it ends up getting. So that was an initial one I was thinking of. And again, I know we did like a, hey, Haliburton for Giannis situation with the Pacers. And again, not Haliburton for Kawhi. But I was thinking about like maybe a Siakam for Kawhi deal, because I think you can do this as a 1-for-1 as well, too. Let me double check here with some of the second apron stuff. Because then the Clippers may have some second apron room to work with here. First apron room to work with as the offseason starts. So, yeah, you can do a 1-for-1 Kawhi for Siakam trade. And, again, it's like what kind of assets do you want to get for Kawhi in that type of deal, building your team going forward? Like Siakam, is just one piece, and it's not going to give you the upside of Kawhi. But maybe you just reset in the regular season in a different way. Siakam's out there for just like there's a more consistency with Siakam, and maybe in another trade down the road you're able to acquire. And again, maybe it wouldn't be as much as Kawhi, but maybe it was more like, would Indiana take that swing of, that's a little bit more of a number 2 that makes sense, where it's like, okay, the peak version of Kawhi upgraded versus Siakam is an interesting thing next to Haliburton as well too, and just him defensively, of course, on that Pacers team. And Indiana was, that was kind of an offensive game there, but they've been able to lock in defensively in moments as well. So, maybe they don't need the Kawhi defense, chat. But another sort of easy player trade that was out there. And those were kind of the main initial two, I guess. I guess Kawhi in some kind of, or like Harden to Dallas is just a fun idea of just like, could Nico Harrison continue to collect the old superstar team, chat? Is Nico Harrison just the pipeline for the big 3, the Dallas Mavericks, all of a sudden? But any veteran players ending up in Dallas is obviously on the watch list. But yeah, I think that this result for the Clippers is like very clarifying. It's like, yeah, okay, we get it. There has to be drastic, there can be drastic changes, and it's not like, and I guess over the last couple of seasons, if they had decided, hey, we're good with whatever this version of the team was, let's go in a different direction and just reset into something new. But again, Ballmer had the new arena, he had the wall, he had all that stuff. And again, for Jokic, there's the Jokic legacy stuff of it being the Game 7 in his home court. But again, for Ballmer, it's not like they had that massive performance in his arena. So, hey, that's at least a win in some ways. They didn't, again, maybe close out the playoffs the way that they should have in his arena. But I guess I'm trying to, did they actually win that Game 6? They did, I think, because Murray was good in that Game 6. And the Clippers still were able to get the win anyways. But just to make sure we get our facts straight, just a couple of seasons off, chat. Only a half decade off for the team we clicked on here. 24-25, losing in 7 to the Nuggets. So yeah, there we go, chat. He did win the last regular season or last, game of the season on their home court. They got that win there, and they had a really fun, really hyped team throughout the course of the season. Like, for as much as we gave Ballmer a lot of flack for what happened with this run, chat, it kind of worked. Simmons talked very highly about the Intuit Dome all year. He was, again, one of the guys that was hyping up this Clippers as a finals team, but that still goes to show that there was competitive, high-level basketball played. And again, competitive is the main thing. Like, we knew that with those guys, there could be high-level basketball. And again, it ultimately ended in first round. Does Ballmer want the playoff revenue as well, too, from the later playoff series? For sure. But again, in terms of what this season was supposed to be, an introduction season for that new arena, hey, here's a new place to come watch basketball with star players where you're going to get incredible performances every night. And there was a lot of times where they drew the best out of the other opponent, Kawhi and Harden, and the depth that they had around him, Norm Powell and some of those other guys. Like, that was a really competitive team, chat. So, shout out to Ballmer, man. He stuck with it. And again, for now, you have a little bit of a sigh of relief. You had that first season. The Intuit Dome is like, and again, even if it takes a step back next year, like, it's established that can be a competitive environment for a team to play in, and a good home court advantage if they do have competitive rosters there in the future. So he got that opening season. That was fun, even if it ended a little bit earlier than he expected. And I think now they have, again, it's a decent roster if they're like, hey, let's start trading pieces. What can we get? I know, are you going to get 5 first-round picks and 3 players back for Kawhi Leonard at this point? It may be a little bit more of a compact trade than that. Like we're saying, are you looking more at one sort of mid-tier superstar and a couple of assets? But you get some assets back for that. You're going to get some stuff in a Norm Powell deal on an expiring contract. You could get a first-round pick for Norm Powell. I don't think that would be totally crazy. Are you going to get a first-round pick in this draft? Like, I don't think the trades are going to happen that soon. But, and again, like, who has, I guess, we can't just, like, look at this and know that who has first-round picks next year to trade out. But, could Denver start? They don't really have any first-round picks. Trading first-round picks out for Norm Powell. Who knows what the Knicks, just any, like, there's going to be a market for these guys on the Clippers roster. So this is I think this is a nice time for them to try to say, hey, let's reset this as well, too. Again, you had a successful first season in the Intuit Dome for what you could have had, and you have a roster of assets with guys that still appear to be impactful. Amen Thompson jacking up the transition 3 to end the third quarter. No good, but Houston down 8, chat. It's going to be competitive, and it's going to be a nail-biter here as we enter clutch time. So let's take a quick break. Try not to lose the live stream again, and we will resume the fourth quarter here of a Game 7, chat, which looks like it's going to be a fun one. It has been so far. Okay, chat, here we go. Fourth quarter underway, and it really was an Amen Thompson takeover in the third quarter there. They said he scored or assisted on 17 of the 23 Rockets points in that quarter. So, chat, Reggie Miller drop. He's growing up right in front of our eyes. It's happening, even though, will it be enough to... Yeah, whoa! Whoa! Yeah, whoa! Back-to-back, chat. Will it be enough to overcome Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and the Warriors? 11 minutes to find out. Steph, the crossover on Jabari. He's got him leaning. He's got him leaning. Takes him right to the basket, chat. Jabari Smith can't keep up. It's going to have to be Amen Thompson both ways, and I think that is, of course, not just what is special about the Amen Thompson ability, but, I mean, just kind of crazy in the grand scheme of things in general. And to be honest, chat, you know, and again, oh, Steph buries that three. The closer, chat. Ime, a quick timeout. Ooh. Steph Curry, chat, in Houston once again. Uh-oh, Rockets fans. It's all too familiar. But just like you go and even look in the league right now and say who has the ability to wreck a playoff game on both ends of the court to the level at which they could be arguably the best player on the court. And again, Steph just can raise his game to the level where it's just difficult for anybody to be the best player on the court when Steph's cooking. But again, maybe even the best player for his team. And we say even the two-way aspect, like Steph's not going to take over the game defensively the way that Amen Thompson is. So again, and you know, even Jokic, but I think that was what was impressive as well too with Jokic in this playoff series against the Nuggets or against the Clippers is there was a defensive thing with him in this series. And you know, maybe the Clippers being an older team, Jokic could keep up a little bit, but it did feel like he could really move his feet in a way, and some of the switches out and Jokic to double and Jokic, just the defensive effort from him in this series, I think was really, really good. But again, you wouldn't necessarily consider him a two-way takeover type guy. Jokic is going to get a block on one end. I mean, again, Jokic is skilled enough offensively that if he makes a play defensively or gets a rebound, you know, I guess his outlet passing as well too is so dangerous that we don't want to take that away as like a way for him to kickstart the offense. But again, his offense to defense is just different than like a guy like Amen Thompson or a guy like Wemby or a guy like Giannis, which I meant to say this earlier, chat, with the talk and the Jokic Clippers stuff, but I guess it's all an ongoing conversation about the NBA. And again, I know Jokic got the win in that Game 7 against the Clippers, but I think I trust Giannis as much in a Game 7 as Jokic, if that makes sense. And I don't know, you know, again, as we nitpick sort of the levels to which these players are and just try to pick apart the last couple of pieces of, oh, Jokic does this one thing better than Giannis, or, you know, he is his game less reliant on the athleticism and the way it'll age, and now I like it. It's just like, it becomes so like obviously minor. And, you know, even in the LeBron Jordan, any of these conversations, it becomes so minor, the things that we're debating about, you know, to separate them with. But like we talk about in the tier conversation, at the end of the day, it's how much do I trust you in that situation? And, you know, Jokic, even still, chat, like with as good as he is in the regular season, with good as the numbers are, and as much as they would bear out to say that even in the playoffs still he's one of the best offensive players to ever play, I think even this series, like some of the all-time stuff, like, and again, we'll see, like the Thunder stuff could totally recorrect this, and if he takes down the Thunder in a series, it's like, oh, well now, you know, he's back on track again. It's like top 10 stuff of all time that he's doing there. But it's like still like, hey, you know what? Okay, like, guess what? I still would rather have LeBron in a playoff series than Jokic. Like, as great as Jokic is, I would still rather have LeBron. And Giannis as well, too. Like, he's in a tier with Jokic. But even some of those legendary guys like Shaq and Hakeem, it was still like, okay, like, maybe Jokic is still in a tier with those guys at this point. Not quite ascended into the last, you know, Magic, Bird, whatever, Tim Duncan, you know, type range. And maybe Hakeem and Shaq are up there as well, too, chat, with those guys. So, yeah, maybe Jokic is already knocking on the door as well, too. But, again, it's like, okay, Jokic and Giannis still need, I think, one more moment in the playoffs in like a conference finals type way to be like, in my mind, me putting him in the trust rankings over LeBron and, I guess, over LeBron's crazy, but, in the tier with LeBron where it's like, okay, if I was going into a game with LeBron as my best player and Jokic as my best player, or, again, we can debate the MJ versus LeBron thing all you want, but if you go into a game with either one of those guys, I guess the pro MJ people are just going to be so confident, chat. They're going to be like talking so much smack, but you're going to feel great about either way. Magic in this game, like, well, you're going to feel worse if Magic Johnson's your best player versus Michael Jordan. Like, you still got a fighting chance with Magic Johnson. Make no mistake. But again, on the legacy rankings, you probably are going to slot Michael a couple spots ahead of Magic Johnson. It's going to be close, but you got to do the rankings in a particular order. It's like, okay, if we had to rank the players in the league right now, I might cave and put Jokic 1 and Giannis 2, but guess what? Game 7 in a playoff series, no matter the stage, I feel just as good as if Giannis is my best player as I do if Jokic is my best player. And that is still, I think, a separating factor that, again, it's like, for Jokic and Giannis anyways, as people, I think, have kind of clearly put Jokic above Giannis, it's like, well, hey, Giannis is still, like, if we need him in a game, like, I still have as much trust in Giannis as I do in whatever weird way to quantify that is. But as a fan, for me, chat, that is still where I'm at with it at this point. Like I'm saying, the Thunder series is, I'm giving myself, I'm trying to be in the moment with it, where this is where we're at right now. That playoff series is an incredible matchup, an incredible opportunity for him to add to his legacy. But like we're saying, he needs those moments still, and it's a moment that is in front of him that he has, and a moment that we're not like we expect him to win over the Thunder. But I kind of think he needs to go to 6, chat. Like, he can't lose this series in 5. Like, that'd be crazy. And again, we could walk away from the series and go, oh, Cason Wallace and Jalen Williams on Murray and Dort on Porter Jr. and, just Hardenstein making Jokic work a little bit, and then they don't really have anybody to throw at Shea like Christian Braun the whole series. Shea just kind of is able to pick his spots at some point on Christian Braun and get it to work. Again, it's a lot to overcome, but Jokic is this level, and, it's the level to where I'm crediting him towards, like, he can't lose a playoff series in 5 games. But there is just like a bar to which these players get to. I mean, it's the Mahomes and Brady thing, chat. It's why those two guys are, and, Montana as well too. It's why those names are special in the way that they are. And it's, I mean, you see the Colts football here, chat. The Colts statue, like, you're not going to hear us besmirch the name of Peyton Manning on this pod, but it's the thing in the legacy things that is part of it compared to the conversation of these other guys. Is there is just some more of the earlier exits than some of the other guys. And it's like Mahomes' career, yes, there is almost becoming an unfair bar of like Mahomes has to get to the Super Bowl every year. But guess what? Mahomes, the AFC Championship game, again, is also the bar. But there's just no early playoff exits. There is always going to be around at the end of the season, because that is just the greatness of him as a player. And again, I get all the different stuff, but you see Kansas City as well too. Were they the best team in the AFC this year? Probably not. I mean, the refs and all that stuff, I get that as well too. But at the end of the day, Mahomes' greatness as well, chat, for, again, a pro Mahomes pod, is going to be the thing that is going to be remembered. And just the continued legacy that he's building with these constant playoff runs. And that's just the thing that, and maybe, again, that's the missing piece with Giannis and Jokic as well too, but the last sort of thing with it as well. And, it separates Duncan a little bit from some of those guys. Like Duncan, of course, the Spurs had a couple of early playoff exits in there as well, for sure. I mean, Brady ended up with a couple of early playoff losses. Like, Mahomes is not going to make the conference championship every season, make no mistake. Mahomes might even miss the playoffs. He might miss the playoffs this year. You never know. You never know what could happen. But again, just the percentage of it at this point, it's like, okay, he's going to have to go 6 years of missing the playoffs to balance it out. Like, we get it. Like, more often than not, he's going to be one of those few guys at the end of the season. And more often than not, a guy like Duncan is going to be there at the end of the season. We're looking around being like, wait a second, Tim Duncan's left? Oh, yeah. Tim Duncan's in the title. It's why, you know, a team like, and again, the teams that, excuse me, Chad, the teams that win, and obviously the ones that ascend to the top are the ones that get remembered the most. But you've got another team as well too, like we're saying, this Indiana team in the Eastern Conference has a potential interesting legacy thing if they're able to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. And again, a matchup, them and the Knicks is interesting. If hypothetically the Knicks is able to get past the Celtics, and it's like, wait a second, are the Pacers in the finals at this point? But them for this versus the Celtics, I think we'd still trust the Celtics, at least initially, going into that series with their ego, and even in just a matchup standpoint, like the Pacers can definitely hang with any team, but the Celtics, just with their 3-point shooting, of course, feel like they can go toe to toe with the Pacers, especially. But them being in the Eastern Conference Finals every year, like you get some of those teams as well, and it's what we're talking about with the playoff swagger. It's like, oh yeah, the Haliburton is like one of those guys. Like, is he sort of the new Jimmy Butler, chat, where the Heat were the team that were the lower playoff seed? Maybe Jimmy Butler would have some up and down moments in the regular season, and then you get in the playoffs and it's like, oh yeah, he's going to have the clutch moments in the big games, the team around him, the environment, it's all going to work together, and they're going to have these sustained runs. And, once again, they find themselves in a position where it's like they might be back in the Eastern Conference Finals. And again, not to say that like Haliburton has had more playoff success than Jokic, because again, Jokic has the finals and the finals MVP and just amazing, playoff stats and playoff performances under his belt. Similar as well to like Doncic in some of those early Mavs playoff series against the Clippers, where it's like the stats are great. We know that Doncic is setting himself up for something in the future, and we're not necessarily holding the losses against him, but at what point is the breakthrough? And again, that's early Doncic. So now, this is not the early Jokic days, but it would be nice again to see some of those guys have those longer playoff runs as well too, because again, I know that everybody kind of wants the younger teams to continue to advance, like, and I love Ant Edwards. I love Shea. Like, I would love to see Ant Edwards and Shea as an awesome conference finals. I'm not voting against it, but you know what else is awesome, chat? Steph and Jokic. That would be pretty fun. I would love to see those legends continue to battle it out, and they're the young guys. Their time's a coming, chat. The legends will never retire, so maybe it'll never happen. But, Jokic is, like we're saying, just I think as he battles not even the guys in the league at this point, but as he battles these legendary figures and what his legacy ranking is all time, I think just the constant, reminder of at the end of the year, every year, Jokic is one of the few guys standing, like we're saying on the East as well too, Giannis, one of the few guys standing. And, how much do you remember Eastern Conference? Speaking of the Pacers, like those Reggie Miller teams were a team that felt like they could always get, and I think we mentioned the Pacers or the Pistons as well too, but like those Chauncey Billups teams, and they get remembered because they actually won a finals as well, but you don't really remember like they were in 6 or 7 Eastern Conference finals in a row, like just every year, constant playoff runs, winning series, winning games, just super hard to beat, and just, whoa. But super tough matchups for anybody, even if it felt like, were they like kind of what this Rockets team could be, a peak version of it, where the star player is not like a first-team All-NBA guy, but the collective defense and toughness and the offensive functionability is what is able to help him win these series. But again, it's like, can you start arguing Jokic versus Bird at this point? If Jokic, you're just like, wait a second, how many times did he lose in the first and second round of the playoffs? Like, as much as you hate to say, and as much as you would look back retroactively and go, well, how do we even count them against Jokic or whatever? It's just, I'm saying, like, or like we're saying for Giannis, like, you can't hold this playoff series against Giannis, but it is another year in which it is an early exit. There's just, there may be two sides to the coin, but again, there's two sides to it. You can flip it over and look at both of them, chat. Like, there's going to be a bad one and there's going to be a good one, and Giannis he's going to need to go to San Antonio so he can have some of those playoff runs to help build his legacy back up, chat. It's really the only way. I think the only thing to conclude from that is he needs to be playing in San Antonio at some point to help build his legacy back up. Oh, amen, Thompson. Pressing Steph Curry when Steph Curry is getting advice from Steve Kerr on the sideline, that's what you like to see when you say don't leave his side. Especially from a star player. Like, that's like some Pat Bev type defense. You know, guard him all the way up the court, stand next to him on the sideline. But no, we're getting the potential young star of the Rockets. Dabble in some of that as well, too. Now he switched on to Draymond. Van Fleet on Steph. Sengun on Steph. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The foul on Pods might have actually saved a Steph Curry basket there because he got the back cut on him. And it just would have been if Pods saw him or not. Oh, Figueroa goes down, chat. I saw the line before they started on this rerun, and it was pretty aggressive in favor of Sandhagen. And it looks like, ooh, Figueroa down bad with maybe a knee injury as well, too. So hopefully our guy's able to recover okay from that one. Hopefully it's just, you know, the soreness of losing a fight and nothing's the same. But I guess any of these fights, there's always going to be something, you know, quote unquote. I say quote unquote major, but like a torn ACL from a fighter, it's like, I guess that's always going to be a bad injury. But it's like, well, yeah, there's always something. Fracture this, tear that, splints here. Brutal, chat. It's like the NBA playoffs. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe UFC a little bit more. Jesus, chat. Do we need a nose itch break here? Yikes. We're just going to start picking the nose live on stream. It's not good, but we'll figure it out. We'll power through, chat. There's only 5:30 left. 5:30? Uh-oh. Dawn to 2. Still haven't given it the listen, chat. Shout out, I guess not shout out, but slide it. Well, shout out either way, but to you guys. But if you guys have actually listened to Dawn to 2 and sat down and given it, it only got like, I think like 6,200 first week sales on the first couple of days. I think it's projected to do like 2,100 on its first technical week. But I mean, not all of it's like new material as well too. I didn't know of what the hypothetical Dawn to 2 track list was from back when, because I guess it's not like a new album, you know, it's unreleased stuff from back in that Dawn to Day. But again, it's not like 530's back on that album, you know, the Fabio Four and Alicia Keys song where they're over the Chainsmokers sample. I forget what is that, City of Gods, chat? I think it is what it is, which actually kind of a great song. But again, Fabio Foreign and Alicia Keys. But yeah, I guess if you guys are spinning Dawn to 2, that's kind of crazy. Like Dawn to 1 is out there, you know, Graduation, like just stick to those at this point. Plus, I don't know, like, you know, you're diving into all these like off-brand Yay, Spotify, Apple artist pages. Like, there's no need, chat. Just the old stuff, stick to it. It's good. That's where the quality's at. The old, you know, the Kanye production, just like, maybe now's the time to just be like, hey, we're listening to Kanye beats. The Blueprint, you know? Comfortable by Lil Wayne. Like, B by Common. You know, throw on Just Right and listen to B and be like, that's your way to get around Kanye West, chat. Is just listen to some of the beats for right now. And then maybe, well, maybe as time goes on, you're like, oh, I'll be more inclined to not listen to the music. But who knows, Chad? Who knows? Down 8, though, with 4 minutes left. It just doesn't feel like they're going to be able to close this game. I know that might be famous last words, but they just haven't quite had the offensive push overall. It's been a slow grind, so maybe it's just that final boost at the end of the game here. But enforcing a tough Draymond 3 at the end of the shot clock is definitely going to help that. So, big third down here, Jim. Big possession for the Rockets. This would be like a, okay, finally break pace from where they're at. Down 6. I guess they did get it to 5 or 6 earlier in the third, I think. Sengun to the basket. Oh, 0 field goals in the last 3 minutes, almost 4 minutes for Golden State until Jimmy Butler just slashes through right there, chat. Gets to the basket. A little ASMR. IT, did that go through? Oh, that's right. No IT right now. Second half. IT, did they make it to the Rockets-Warriors game in time? I think I see them there in the front row. That was quick. They must have taken the REMINGTOM copter, chat. I forgot we had that thing, but IT, they're always getting the gadgets out and messing with them. I guess they maybe the REMINGTOM Boeing. Uh-oh, chat. Uh-oh. No, we make IT stick to the tour bus. They don't get private jet accommodations. Chat, what are you talking about? Tour bus it is. Plus, it's it's a small group. They don't need a private jet. They're fine. They like to hang. The driver's cool too, so they like spending time with him. But Buddy Hield in transition. Back up by 10. Van Fleet getting a little dirty there, chat. Are they reviewing this for something? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. 3:33. Down 10. So, yeah, I mean, again, they're in that range where they've been this entire quarter. And, I mean, you love the commitment to the team stuff, and I guess Van Fleet's probably going to be a little too important for what he should be. In those couple. Let me get a napkin here, chat. Every time, of course, we dive into the snacks, it makes a mess. We got a... Hey, yo. Just a second, chat. Okay, chat, we can touch the keyboard again. We're good to go. And if there's anything that is beneficial about these replays at the end of games, chat, it's like there's plenty of moments to just step away. Like whatever you guys are doing, if you guys are at if you're out and about, if you're out in the town watching and you're like, oh, wait a second, we just got distracted in a 5-minute rant about, the new Sinners movie, chat, like, how much, I guess I haven't seen Thunderbolts yet, but you're like, okay, let's just compare Thunderbolts to Sinners for the next 8 minutes, and then, oh, wait a second, we forgot the game was on the TV in the background, and you look up and you're like, oh yeah, wait, Tony Brothers is still doing a replay. It's totally fine. There's still some sort of out of bounds thing they're reviewing, still some timeout scenario that they have to fix, so plenty of opportunities, chat. You can go grab a snack in the fourth quarter of an NBA game, because they're like, we're just going to take just an 8-minute break right here with 3.5 minutes left. No big deal. If you need to go to the bathroom, save it for the fourth quarter of an NBA game, because there'll be plenty of time to take a break between the replays. It's like a movie, you need to try to search out what part you're going to, okay, is this a slow part in the story? Can I take a break here? Sinners was actually captivating enough. I don't think there was no issues during Sinners, chat. I'm trying to think what the last movie was. I think Joker 2, I just went to the bathroom to just take it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to the bathroom. I don't even need to go to the bathroom, but I'm just going to go wander around and make a decision. Do we go back into the theater? And it's like, well, might as well finish this thing out, see what happens. Gaga is still in the movie, so we might as well give it a second chance. And, I don't know if it quite ended as strong as it started either, chat. But regardless, I think I guess that was the last time we didn't have to make a decision at all. I'm trying to remember. I feel like usually we do. We're pretty fortunate. We don't have we're jinxing ourselves for the next time. But, we don't have too many crazy emergency scenarios in a movie. But, again, for an NBA game, you don't even have to think about it. Just fourth quarter, there's going to be timeouts. There's going to be breaks. There's going to be replays. The refs are going to step in. Uh-oh, chat. Somebody just hacked into our Sling TV. Somebody's going to get kicked out. It is what it is. Or did I accidentally pull it up on a second screen? I don't think I did, chat. But do they not think the Rem and Sam pod is watching Rockets Warriors, chat? Who is IT? It's probably IT just got home and they're trying to mess with us and log out of our stuff. But they have already tried to stop us once, chat. They can't stop us again. 3 minutes left. Maybe they can. Maybe IT can sub in for some of these Rockets players and stop Steph Curry. Oh! The killer three right over Jalen Green. 15 points lead. Just under 3 minutes. Amen Thompson spinning to the basket. Uh-oh, not able to get it to go, chat. Wow, Steph Curry. Not the greatest start to the game, but killer shots, killer timing. Buddy Hield just been fantastic today. And there's Dunleavy in the crowd, chat. Oh, the fans are leaving. 2.5 minutes, 20-point lead. They walked the Rockets fans. Steph Curry, he's done it again. He's walked yet another fan base. Time and time again. Closing out the Rockets in a playoff series after a poor first half, chat. It's just the story of Steph versus the Rockets. A poor start, insane performance. You know, no injury this time, I guess. Oh, Sengun with the little steal and layup. Cut it to 18. But, wow, chat. The legend. He can still do it. You can still put a team on Steph's back. And he can still take it, you know, at least to the second round of the playoffs. Ends with 20. Again, not much, though, for the entire first half. So most of that in the, I guess, technically, like, what, 17 of that in the second half. And he ended with a triple-double. So, basically, I mean, 20, 10, and 7. 7 assists and ended with 10 rebounds. So, I mean, you know, a turnover, only one turnover. Feels pretty good for Steph as well, too. 2 blocks, 2 steals. I mean, this is... I don't know. Can we call this an all-time Steph game? Can we call this an all-time Steph game? I would love to see what the final box score, the game score, I guess, would be for this. And again, 20 points is probably going to limit a little bit the game score stuff. It's not the best game that Steph Curry's ever played in his playoff career, but because again, you think even that turnaround performance in that Rockets game that, you know, against Harden, that game 6, I think if I'm remembering correctly, we had, what, like 30 points in the second half or something like that. Again, that's just a more impressive scoring performance. But his ability to stay effective when he wasn't hitting the shots in this game, and then, you know, once the shots started falling, everything else, you know, just continued to click as well, too. It just turned into a real brilliant second half by Steph Curry. So maybe there's like a comparable game score box score comparison that we can find in here. His highest game score game, 47, 8, 7, 2 steals. So he has a 58 and 6 in here. A 38, 15 and 7. Like some sneaky rebounding for Steph Curry. Steph Curry's a sneaky rebounder. You know, I guess 9 games here with 10 or more rebounds in the playoffs in his career, but a 15 rebound playoff game, you know, you wouldn't necessarily think that for Steph, but maybe there's something here. Let's go like something in the 20-point range where he had a similar triple-double experience. Again, maybe this type of game was different. Yeah, maybe it could have been a bad game or, you know, incredible first half. Like, okay, here's a game against Dallas. They won, okay, 112-87. 7 of 16 from the field, 3 of 9 from 3. So not even, ended up, you know, 4 of 10. I guess a similar shooting day. 7 of, what was that, 7 of 16? 8 of 16. So I guess this is kind of actually a comparable box score. 12 rebounds, only 4 assists, though. So a couple more assists. And then, yeah, better on the steals and rebounds, too. So we had a 16 on the game score for this one. So he might be, yeah, he might be in like the 18 to 20 range for the game score. So, yeah, not going to be like an all-time, you know, hey, remember that Steph Curry game? Because, again, Buddy Hield, definitely a standout performance for him. And then just continued, you know, great start for Draymond. And then Butler as well, too. It's just a solid all-around game. Like another bring him in there. But, you know, you get a big 4 performance like this. That's pretty good. So I guess Then big picture versus the Timberwolves. I don't think, unfortunately, this performance makes me feel better about them against the Timberwolves. I mean, if anything, it still makes me feel about the same, where it's going to be the greatness of Steph Curry in these moments. And again, yeah, Buddy Hield, 8 for 10 from 3. Any playoff game against anybody, that's a tough matchup. But it was Steph as well, too, like we're saying, getting, not his act together, but getting the scoring part of it figured out, getting hot from 3, and that was also starting for part of them starting to turn that lead around as well, too. So you think about what Minnesota and what Houston are as these young athletic teams, and then Minnesota actually has a closer like Anthony Edwards that maybe Houston is lacking at this point. Chat, kind of like Minnesota again. Kind of like Minnesota again. I don't know if is Anthony Edwards back-to-back. Anthony Edwards and Haliburton back in the finals again. The league was like, wait a second, we're going to get a Minnesota-Indiana finals. I think Stephen A. was complaining about, I'm going to have to wander around the Mall of America between the games of the finals. Like, I don't want to have to do this. Like, I want to be on South Beach. You know, Stephen A., he wants to be in a big city, chat. We don't blame the man. He's a man of luxury, for sure. Especially this new contract, chat. I mean, inflation in Minnesota. He might be the richest man in Minnesota when he shows up, chat. But, or Indiana, you know, either one. But maybe the finals is headed actually to the smaller, I guess, you know, Denver and whatever is not A plus like some of the South Beach. I guess shout out, but, you know, LA, South Beach, New York, maybe Dallas, Houston, I think is a maybe great city as well too for that stuff. The NBA players speaks pretty highly of Houston. Phoenix as well too. Toronto, Jalen Rose, of course, loves Toronto. But yeah, chat, under a minute left. It's going to be a little too late. Svengoon can't even get the little layup to go to try to just make this respectable, chat. The betters, they need Svengoon. Why does Draymond want reviews? Don't review this. Just keep it moving. Buddy Hield, there it is. Dribble it out, chat. Congratulations to Buddy Hield for having a defining playoff game as well too. A good playoff moment. High draft pick. Great college career. One of the, chat, taking a heat check 3 at the end of the shot clock just to rub it in. You know, he could have taken the violation there, but get to 33, chat. 9 for Buddy Hield. With the, what kind of performance was it, chat? Stellar performance? I don't know, chat. But 9 for 11 is a great three-point shooting day either way. So this has to be, speaking of great playoff performances in general, they haven't necessarily put up the playoff career high for Buddy Hield in the graphics, so there's a chance that Buddy Hield had a couple of heat check games in his playoff pass. Make no mistake. But I don't feel like it's a pretty big playoff pass before this. That is crazy. He only had those 4 playoff games in Philly all. Wow, I didn't actually realize that, chat. I would have assumed he had one random playoff series with, the Sacramento teams. Was he on one of those teams, with the Fox Monk stuff? But no. Or those Indiana teams. Wasn't able to make a playoff run with them either. So that's the first ever Buddy Hield, playoff game in a way. Because you see the averages themselves haven't necessarily reflected a major performance. So just to double check, yeah, he had a 20-pointer in a loss to the Knicks game, whatever game he started versus. So game 6 of the series, he had 20 points in that 3-point loss, and a 17-pointer and a 15-pointer in the couple of wins here in games 3 and 4. But yeah, shout out, a real defining playoff win in playoff performance for our guy Buddy Hield, who I've always loved. Buddy Hield. I mean, I think I was really pro because he went before Jamal Murray in the draft, right? So yeah, one pick before. I know they were debated about, which one would you rather have, and ultimately it was really close to their value. Of course, I think it was, but those two guys would have been 6 and 7 either way. Denver would have just probably taken Buddy Hield. I guess I don't know if that's, we're not reporting that, chat, but it seemed like the vibes were Denver would have probably taken Buddy Hield if Murray had gone to New Orleans, and the vice versa happened. But of course, with Murray's playoff career and the moments that he's had, And I think a lot of the people, Murray's younger guy, some of the upside that he had in the moment, it was like he needs to be the, and I think maybe even a couple of draft boards had him, top 3-ish in their boards. And maybe even 7 was, again, in this range for him. But I think a lot of people, a couple of guys might have had him overdone as well, too, as the best guard in the draft. And then maybe even over Bender. Because I think Jaylen Brown would have was obviously a little bit of a surprise at number 3. And is he the leader in points? Chat, crazy pick. But, yeah, anyways, just the way that Murray has kind of proven his playoff moments in his career, for Buddy Hield to finally, have one of those is a good validating performance for us for our draft opinions for back in the day, chat. But yeah, I mean, again, an incredible series for Steph to just once again put a team on his back and have this type of performance. I really do, unfortunately, worry about their ability against the Minnesota, because again, Minnesota is just an athletic team. They're a defensive team. They're a switchable, it's a tough team, chat. And if Randall's going to play well too, the Green Randall matchup is really going to be important because, again, they can really focus on Steph in a way. And I guess Butler as well too is, of course, just a secondary playmaking factor as well. But that's just a lot of size that Golden State doesn't have. This was a series where, yes, Rockets have the athleticism to go at the Warriors, and they did show with the Adam lineups and stuff that they could go big and match it. But, Adams is just a different type of center, and their bigs, again, what are their other big options outside of Adams? It's Jabari Smith. It is, Chad, what are they going to run? Tari Eason at center? It is a little bit more of a wing-heavy team, and yeah, Minnesota's got their wings too, but you got Randall as a big power forward. Naz Reid as a big power forward. I mean, Gobert we saw with matchups that, yes, it is matchup based for a guy with his pedigree, but regardless, depending on the matchup, he can be a potentially super deadly guy. Again, especially if you never adjust to stop him as well too. If you're just going to let him, cook all day, he's going to have an amazing stat line. But that type of that front court depth, I think, is really going to be difficult for Golden State to match up against. And again, the backcourt guys that they could throw, Edwards on Steph is going to make life difficult for Steph. McDaniels on Steph. They have Nickeil Alexander can follow him around in some of these first quarters to relieve those defenders and set them up for success later in the game. And there's just not enough. Draymond would just have to be like that old school Draymond, everywhere free safety type guy covering all of 3 of those front court guys potentially to make up for the fact. And Butler's going to be in there too. Butler versus Randall, the sound of that again, I trust Butler. So if he can figure out a way to maybe play some defense against Randall or Naz Reid or one of those guys, I'm not writing it off. But if Randall's, because again, Randall, we have to remember his playoff performances on the Knicks. We're not trying to call him out here, but those are bad numbers, Chad. They're bad numbers. He's in the 30% from the field and the 20% from 3. So yes, he could give you really, really good playoff numbers, or he can give you okay playoff numbers. And it's okay, at least Randall can be a rotation guy. We just don't have to totally take him off the court because he's, unfortunately just being unplayable with the way the offensive game is going right now. So, man, Minnesota is going to be a fun team to continue to watch for this playoff series. And I think both of these series have the chance to be tougher, 6-7 game series. Absolutely. And, it looks like maybe even in the East as well, too, we're saying that Indiana-Cleveland series could be a 7-gamer as well. And, who knew, chat, that maybe the Knicks would be the one team that, and that is something that's going to, maybe not help the perception of their offseason as well, too. Tibbs' job, some of the safety of some of the players. If some of these other series get really competitive and really feisty, and the Knicks just go down in 5 games to the Celtics, because, again, it's of course always matchup based stuff, but matchups, of course, the Knicks are not a good. The Knicks, that's a bad matchup for them. The Celtics have killed them all regular season. They haven't lost. I don't know. We'd have to go back and look at minutes and guys and all that different stuff. But with the way that the Knicks have just been very reliant on Brunson on offense and very, you don't want to say dysfunctional because there is sort of a function to like the dysfunction of, hey, it's just all Brunson. But with the lack of options that they have in the one dimension of it, the Celtics are going to probably be able to overwhelm this Knicks team very quickly. And they could play great defense. Like, it's going to have to be, in a similar sort of Nuggets way, like the great individual performances from the Knicks players to keep this series going longer. But I think even Brunson can have great closing games and it just not be enough at the end. Like, Brunson may be the best closer in the series. I wouldn't write it off, chat. He was, of course, excellent in that Pistons series. And, clutch player of the year. Like, that might actually be the best the clutch player of the year has ever actually played in the playoffs. I feel like the clutch player of the year the last couple of years have kind of gone to like an 8 seed or like a play-in team level guy. Let's see if we can double check that here real quick. Last thing, chat, before we take off, a little just double check of the clutch player of the year award. Obviously, chat, it doesn't exist. The history, they're trying to wipe it clean. What happened? Where's the awards page at? There we go. Okay, we're back. We're back, chat. Clutch player of the year is somewhere in here. There we go. The Jerry West trophy. Right next to the in-season tournament most valuable player. So they do have a history of that. So yeah, De'Aaron Fox in 2023, Steph Curry in 2024, and then Jalen Brunson in 2025. So yeah, De'Aaron Fox, they lost that first round series to the Warriors, so it's like, well, okay, De'Aaron Fox, clutch player of the year, losing a game 7, and then I think the Warriors as well too, chat. Let's double check what they did last year. Did they lose in the play-in? Yeah, they lost in the play-in. They finished 10th in the Western Conference, if we remember correctly. I guess the games don't exist, so we don't exactly know what happened. But it's like, okay, the clutch player of the year hasn't gotten out of the first round either the last 2 years. It's like, okay, Brunson, game 7, end of the season. Actually, the clutch player of the year bared out in the playoffs. So I don't know why this is striking me as funny, chat. Maybe that means it's time to go to bed. But the fact that they have the in-season tournament MVP listed on here as a page. Like, is this going to be and this might go away. Who knows? Is this going to be a vast history of, who knows how long one day we're paused, but we're going to have to be scrolling through the history of in-season tournament most valuable player awards. That could be wait a second, it was 2 years, it was Giannis and LeBron? That's kind of crazy. Like the NBA Hustle Award, they tried that. Oh, they're still giving it out? Draymond Green won the Hustle Award this year? How did we not hear about this? Marcus Smart, back-to-back, 3-time Hustle Award winner? Amir Johnson in 2017-18, 15 minutes a game? Hustle Player of the Year? Alex Caruso, I already have bones to pick. Pause with the NBA Hustle Player of the Year award. Alex Caruso last year, though? Okay, for sure. The one player, Alex Caruso, we're like, yeah, that makes sense. But Harrell as well, too, on the Clippers. I don't know if he's a hustle. Do we need, a enforcer of the year? The High Turkin Memorial Award. Sam Davis Memorial Award. Player of the Seeding Games. One-time winner, Damian Lillard, 2019-20. Oh, for the bubble? 8 games. Oh, yeah, for the bubble. 8 games played. 37 points a game. 4 rebounds, 9 assists. So almost a 37-10 for Dame in those 8 games. Jesus, Chad. 50 points and 50% from the field, 43% from the field. The good old days, Chad. Dame Lillard, a dominant offensive player. But yeah, so I guess initial second round thoughts outside of Cavs, because I know I'm saying this retroactively. The Pacers won, but like I was saying, I think this was going to be a 6 or 7 game series either way. This is going to be a battle. The Pacers are a Eastern Conference team that aren't afraid, and the Cavs are a team that we just haven't quite seen break through yet. So I'm just saying I needed to see the Cavs have a dominant performance before I start picking them either way, confidently. So not surprised if the Pacers win the series or if the Cavs turn back and win the series. Obviously, this series could go either way. I'm going to need to see the odds, chat. The odds are going to be the last thing that influences our decision here before we wrap up. I guess We'll be back, don't worry, later this week as well, too. So make no mistake to subscribe. You'll need to subscribe because apparently we can't just have one cohesive live stream throughout the course of the night. It's just, we're going to have computer freezes and lockups, and you're just like, okay, we just need to, like, I'm not like a subscribe and hit that bell. You know, chat, we're not necessarily the best at reminding to say that all the time, but or remembering to say that all the time. But this time it's like, just subscribe, so it's just like, at least it's all in one place and you can find it because, make no mistake, we're fumbling through some of these live feeds. So maybe we'll do like a 3 strikes policy. You know, if we have 2 more, then it's like, okay, you're free to unsubscribe again. You know, we understand that you need some professionalism in you, right, Chad? That's what you guys prioritize in your subscription feeds. But yeah, I guess for the series here, let's go series stats. Yeah, Boston minus 820. Oh, whoa, Chad. In terms of over-under total games, yeah, 5.5. See, chat? So if it goes over 5 plus 116, I don't think I'd bet it, chat. I don't think I would. You can just bet 5 games at plus 198. I mean, Boston's minus 820, so a sprinkle on any of these might be worth it, chat. 4 games at plus 290 is honestly not bad. You know, plus 320 for 6 games, sure. In 6 games, better odds than 7. Like, Boston in 6 is not crazy. So plus 320 might be the best bet for that one. But Cavs, Pacers. Cleveland still minus 215 to win the series. I mean, you know, FanDuel, I feel like, does a pretty good job of updating this stuff live. So game 1, they're not too worried about. Again, you get Garland back as well. But I don't know if that means you get Garland back to close the games necessarily. Like we mentioned, we'll just have to see how the matchup stuff plays out there. Over under for games 6.5. So for 7 games plus 164. What is this? Yeah, plus 164 for 7 games. 5 games at plus 290. Like, is Cleveland going to win the next 4? Would seem a little aggressive, but the same odds at 6 or 7. I guess it doesn't matter either way. So it just, you know, which one do you want to get right? But I think if it's the same odds, I'd just go ahead and bet the 7 games and just say that this is going to be a fight, chat. The Pacers are here. The Pacers are a crazy team. Series correct score? Oh, here we go. Now we can get real specific. Pacers in 7 is not even an option? Oh, show more. Here we go. Plus 760. Pacers in 6, plus 570 versus Cleveland in 7, plus 265. Cleveland in 6, plus 310? Not terrible right now. Not terrible. Do they go 4-1 in the next 5? Oh, chat, the live line. Minnesota just moved up. So now, or Golden State just moved up. Minnesota just moved down. So now's the time to pounce on Minnesota. Total games over under is 5.5. Under 5.5. Plus 160. Uh-oh, chat. This is where I could be losing some money. Golden State versus Minnesota series correct score. Minnesota in 5 is plus 430, but Minnesota in 6 is plus 470. Minnesota in 7 plus 390. Golden State in 7. Golden State in 7 plus 630, so that'd be them winning a game 7 on the road in Minnesota. But then in game 6 is plus 470. I don't know. For some reason, I kind of like Minnesota in 5 or Golden State in 7. Though Golden State in 5 plus 980, I guess if things just go really south. But, I mean, Edwards said it as well, too, at the end of the game. He's like, we just took down the Lakers, and I shot 0 for 10 from 3. Like, we might actually be in a good spot going forward for this playoffs with the way that this team can contribute the collective together. And for the Nuggets and the Thunder, Nuggets plus 610, minus 900. Whoa. Chat. No respect. Get the Rodney Dangerfield drop ready. Once IT gets back in the building off suspension, their first task is to clip out Rodney Dangerfield. No respect, chat. They give me no respect. You can bet the order? Oh, man. We're going to turn into massive degenerates this playoffs, chat. This round is going to be crazy. Denver to steal the first one, that's not going to happen. I think it might be like a... What would be a OKC, Denver, OKC type. Yeah, 25-1. So you can get OKC to win the first two at home and then basically just alternate after that. So Denver, OKC, and then OKC in 6. So we got that at 25-1. Chat, that and Vandersloot in the bet slip. I like it. If we just go, well, what if Denver steals the first game and then just gets swept? What would that be? OKC in 5, 15-1? Yeah, I like this. This 6 bet is a lot better than that. The OKC, Denver, OKC is 13-1. The most likely scenario is just OKC just sweeps them? That's crazy, chat. OKC, Denver, OKC. So the classic Denver gets the third one. Denver gets the fourth. Denver gets the third, plus 680. The plus 820 on this 5 is not bad either, honestly, for a 5-game series scenario. I guess Denver getting that first one at 15-1. And then OKC sweeping. What if it was a OKC wins 3, then Denver wins 2, and then OKC closes them out? Let's see here, chat. We need an OKC, Denver. Yeah, OKC, 15-1 as well. So yeah, weirdly, chat. I don't know why OKC, Denver, OKC. I guess because that's, well, it'd be home, road. So it'd be 3 road teams winning in a row is maybe why they're thinking that that's unlikely, but I don't know, chat. That don't seem too crazy at all. So if you go, let's see here. Where was the Denver correct score? Yeah. So if we go OKC in 6 is plus 470, OKC in 5 is plus 210. Plus 470 is not bad either for Jokic to just get 2 games off the Thunder. Could it happen? So I kind of like, I'm saying Jokic, from the betting standpoint, as much as I wanted to give Jokic the respect, I don't know, chat. What's Denver in 7? What is Denver in 7? Plus 1260? Again, I still just like the 25-1 we got. I think that that's still the best bet for this series, is just do one of those series orders bets, honestly, at this point, and just jinx it for like, wait, somehow the math doesn't even work that this works out, but we've got a series order that we've never seen before. What if it was... Here, let's try to find a 7-game scenario that maybe Denver wins. What would be a 7-game Denver scenario? Would they have to win the first game to win Game 7? Maybe... I feel like they would have to... They would win the last 2. They'd be down 3-2, and then Jokic would get the last 2. So maybe it would be OKC, Denver, OKC, Denver. Does any of this make sense, chat? Does any of this make sense? Let's see. I think that's why we unintentionally saved it till the end. OKC to win 3 in a row, Denver to win 4 in a row, plus 80-1. For some reason, I kind of like that one as well, too. That could be just a random fun scenario. Okay, here we go. Game 7. So OKC, Denver, OKC, Denver. That one is 50-1. Like I said, 25-1 still going to win the day, but that is not a bad 7-game scenario as well, too. I feel like that would be the 7-game scenario for some reason. But let's look at this, since, you know, we just unlocked a whole new set of bets here, chat. Let's just take a quick look. Minnesota, maybe Golden State gets the first one, and then Minnesota sweeps them in the next 4. That's 22-1. Maybe Minnesota, Golden State, then Minnesota wins the next 3. That's 18-1. That's not terrible. What if, chat, maybe we get a Minnesota, Golden State, and And then Minnesota wins the next 3. And it's like, okay, they locked back in and dominated, but still took it to 6 games. You got to respect the Steph Butler combo. So that's 30-1. Minnesota, Golden State, Golden State, Minnesota, Minnesota, Minnesota. Because Minnesota, maybe after game 1, like we saw in LA, maybe they get a little bit of feeling themselves a little bit after an impressive win. So I kind of like that as well, too, along with that, was it 18-1 that we saw earlier? But Steph's going to get 2 wins, right? Against Minnesota. Maybe, do you go down 3-1 and then make it 3-2? So Minnesota, Golden State, Minnesota, Golden State, Minnesota. In 6 games, okay. This scenario would be Golden State, Minnesota, Golden State, Minnesota. Is that the one we just mentioned? So is that also 30-1, where they alternate a little bit? Or Golden State wins the first one, then Minnesota wins the next 3. Golden State, then Minnesota. I think that's what we just said. That would be 40-1. But I don't know. Again, after a 7-game series, and they're going to win game 1 against Minnesota after a 5-game series, a little rested. I don't know, chat. So let's go 30-1 for that. Boston versus New York. We know that, like we said, Boston has had big matchup advantages against New York, so not a lot of great odds here. Maybe we can look into some of the 6-game stuff. I guess just a straight Boston sweep is 310. Man. What if New York gets the first and then Boston wins the next 3? 13-1? They're going to be a little worn out after Game 7 as well, too. They might get... I don't know. Boston... What if Boston wins 3, New York wins 2? And then Boston wins 1. 40-1? Oh, no, that's Boston. That's New York wins 3 in a row at that point. So, Boston wins 2. No, sorry, Boston wins. We need Boston to win 3 in a row. Then New York wins 2. Then Boston 1. That's also 30-1, chat. That's also 30-1. Boston to win 3 in a row. New York, Boston, plus 880. Very, very realistic, reasonable scenario that we should probably definitely recommend as actual advice, but definitely way too boring as we sit here and fantasize over this 30-1 number. And New York to win the first, New York to win the second, 13-1 is not bad. New York to win the first game in Madison Square Garden, plus 710. So yeah, I kind of plus 880. Yeah, just get the little extra juice on them winning the game 4. Is not too bad, but this game, this 30-1 is also not bad as well too. 28-1 for them to win the first game in New York, and then game 5 in Boston. I don't know if they'd win a game 5 in Boston, but Boston is sneaky, like, better on the road, so maybe New York would win game 2. Yeah, New York wins, Boston wins game 1, New York wins game 2. Then Boston, New York wins game 5 again in Boston. And then Boston game 6 in New York, 50-1. I kind of like that, chat. I kind of like 50-1 there as well. And I don't know if we can still bet this. I guess we can. Game 1, maybe? I guess for the... Here, let me mute the page and log in real quick to see if it updates the odds. Just in case, because... we shouldn't be able to bet game 1 in the results anymore for this Pacers series. I guess, let me actually just double check. Are all the results Indiana winning game 1? Okay, chat. So look at that. FanDuel. They do know what they're doing after all. They've just changed all the results. So it's like, yeah, Indiana won game 1. That has to be worked in. But if we go Cleveland winning game 2, game 3. So Cleveland just a sweep plus 410. The books, did they even watch the games today? I don't know, chat. Cleveland, Indiana, Cleveland, Indiana, Cleveland, 16-1. What if they alternate a little bit here? Indiana, Cleveland, Cleveland. No, 6 games. Like I said, we think this might go 7. So Indiana, Cleveland. Here's an alternating one, 13-1. Indiana, Cleveland, Indiana, Cleveland wins 2 in a row. Then Indiana, Cleveland wins Game 7. 13-1 is not bad. Again, the odds are going to be a little bit lower because we already have one game result out of the way. Game 7 in Cleveland is going to be difficult for Indiana to win. And Spiro Didi, shout out Mr. Deeds himself, was definitely commenting on the noise level of those Cleveland fans. So they can get hyped up and definitely affect a crowd for sure. But what if it goes Indiana, Cleveland, Indiana, Indiana, and then Cleveland has to make a clawback effort here to try to win a Game 7. That one, oh, that's a 13-1 as well too. So that would be Cleveland winning the last 3 games in a row. What about them winning the last 2 games in a row? So Indiana wins both game on the road. Cleveland wins both game on the road. Indiana, Cleveland. So we have one home team win, 55-1. I'm in, chat. Talk me in. This one at 25-1 as well too is Indiana, Cleveland, Indiana, Cleveland, Indiana, Cleveland, Cleveland. Okay, so they just alternate. Then Cleveland wins the last 2, breaks the streak. I could definitely see that one as well. So shout out to Vandersloot, but can we parlay some of these together? I bet there's no way that we can parlay these together. Cash out Thunder 4-2. Oh, that's just for them to win in 6 games. Can we expand the bet slip here a little bit or not? I guess not, Chad. Oh well, we got, I guess, OKC in 6. If you guys are watching in the order of OKC, Denver, OKC, Denver, OKC at 25-1. We've also got the plus 820 is the reasonable bet there. We've got Minnesota, Golden State, Minnesota for that 6-game series at 30-1. We've got Boston in 5 with them winning, or Boston in 6 with them winning the first 3. New York winning the next 2, and then Boston winning the next 3 at 30-1. Or there was this 50-1 too as well. Boston, New York, Boston, New York, Boston, New York, Boston. Boston in 6. And then a couple of those Indiana, Cleveland scenarios as well too. So yeah, there you go, chat. A little scroll through FanDuel corner to prepare for the second round of the playoffs to end us off there. But yeah, we will be live on the YouTube, of course, later again this week, trying to have a better cohesive live stream as well too, chat. But yeah, you can follow us here for more. You can follow the Rim and Sam on the podcast pages like Spotify and Apple and all the stuff that the live streams go up on those as well too in a little bit. And if you guys want to send us a message, you can DM us at Rim and Sam on Instagram as well, and you can contact us over there. The community is strong, chat, and we love hearing from you guys. We love interacting as well. So don't be afraid to reach out, send us a message, any takes, any whatever, just whatever you guys want to say in the DMs. Be careful because Sam is if you want to shoot your shot at Sam, it's probably not going to work. But I mean, we get it, chat. We get it. So you get DMs and you just feel like you can start saying crazy things. But just know Sam's a loyal guy. It's not going to work. Whether and we're talking about the Rim and Sam pod, obviously. If you guys are trying to draw him away to some bigger podcast, but yeah, you can follow us over there and. I think that's about it, chat. That's about it. So I guess we'll go scold IT in the morning for losing the live stream a little bit. And we will try to get things in order for the next time, chat, when we are back Tuesday night. So join us then. And thank you guys for joining us tonight. Shout out to I don't know why we have Pacers, Cavs in the background. Shout out to Steph, Draymond Butler, the Warriors. Game 7, getting past the Rockets. And who knows, chat? The Rockets. They can't take Giannis from the Spurs. It can't happen. You're good with Amen Thompson. Get somebody else. Giannis and Wemby. That's the pairing, chat. We'll see how the offseason plays out. The Rockets are definitely terrifying when it comes to that as well, too. But yeah, that's it. We'll wrap it up. See y'all later.